Hi everybody, just a few quick tips as we wrap up Collection 2. I will start with Blackboard this time and just remind you of where you can now find the uh, collections in hard copy. Some of you requested that I do that. I've got the first 6 collections now listed under Course Documents. So if you go to Course Documents on your Blackboard site, you'll see that I have them in Word format and also PDF in case you want to go that route. You would need to do that and then transfer your annotations onto Classroom Salon, but some of you were mentioning that you'd rather have the opportunity to look at them in hard copy first, which I totally understand. And I'll get the rest of the collections out there and alert you when that happens. While I'm on Blackboard, I'll just point you to a couple of web links coming into Collection 3, the supplements this time. I have the entire Benjamin Franklin's complete autobiography, parts 1 through 4. We're reading part 2, but if you want to look at the earlier part 1 that he wrote significantly earlier in his own life, feel free. Edwards, I have beyond the resolutions and the Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God that appear on Classroom Salon as your official readings. I also have his personal narrative, a link to that, which you might want to take a look at because that's kind of where he testifies to his salvation experience, which then gives him authorization to go on and become the preacher that he becomes during the Great Awakening. Also, just a kind of an optional but interesting additional text to take a look at, a 1777 edition of the New England Primer, and this is something that you might want to take a look at just to see how children of the 18th century were being educated. This is sort of the common reader that they would have worked with in the early grades of their educational experience. So a couple of things there to look at that you might find useful to kind of flesh out the period that you're looking at. And I will put this announcement out with a little bit of a narrative introduction to Franklin and Edwards. And one of the main points that I like to have you think about is here are these two writers born just 3 years apart, really. Franklin, Edwards 1703, Franklin 1706. Now, granted, the Franklin that we're reading is written near the end of his life in 1784, so he's in his late 70s as he's writing the part 2 of his autobiography. But and the Edwards that we're reading is being written in the 1730s and 40s, or even the 1720s, in fact, as he's a very young man. So there is half a century of time between the two pieces of writing, but what a contrast between Edwards's view of the world and Franklin's, and that's kind of the point of Collection 3. So as you make your way through Salon, and let me again show you how I've been signing in now into the latest first page that you see as you go to classroomsalon.org is you have that option of coming in on that Release 1. That's what I've been clicking so that I can go to the earlier version of Salon. And as I come in here, let me show you one or two things we've been doing in class on Thursdays when we come back and look at people's follow-ups. And this is something you could even do as early as after Monday night's initial annotations. You can come in and as it opens up by clicking on the little bar graph here, as I think I've told you in a previous video, you end up with a couple of options that I think can be really useful for you to look at who's done what. But specifically, if you go to Threads, this will show you where there were specific activities, where there were the most comments. This goes from most to least. If you slide this, you'll get down to fewer and fewer comments. But what you'll start with in this very first one is here's one where there were 6 comments made on one thing that one student said. Sarah said something, and you can do it in list view here and show the responses that Sarah got to her comment. Same thing kind of happens here when Travis said something. He got 6 responses. So this is something where you can really see where the activity is. The other thing that's kind of interesting, if you want to just check your own work, because I've gotten a few questions from some of the distance students especially, did my stuff come through? If you just go to users, under the analytics, the bar graph icon, you can see how many comments you've made, And they've got a nice little trick here where I guess they've got an algorithm that now identifies moments when you have used a question mark somewhere in your comments. So if you click on that, you can actually see the times in your comments where you've asked a question of some kind. So that's kind of cool. So looking over at the PB Works as well, I think you guys are generally getting the hang of commenting on each other's reading responses with some commentary of your own. You can use the comments page to do that. So if you had something to say in group, let's say 1 to Angela, you could click, you could read hers, and remember there is this comment space where you can type something in and then sort of double post that, copy and paste it before you put it on Angela's student work page and use it as part of your own comments. So those are just a couple of other little techie pieces of advice for all 3 platforms that we're using. But of course, I was very pleased to see that we had more than 400 annotations made by the same number of students, 44 students within the 2 sections. So it's very exciting to see the 2 classes working together so well. And again, distance folks, you're always welcome to come by. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9:30, room 209, Burnett Hall. We have room for you. Drop by and pay us a visit. We'd love to have you. Talk to you soon. Have a great weekend.